Council members, City Council is in closed session this evening on two items: public employee performance evaluation and conference with legal counsel on existing litigation, and there's no action to report.
Thank you very much. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. Roll call, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton.
Here.
Councilmember King. Present. Councilmember Campion.
Here.
Councilmember Cruz.
Here.
Mayor Powers.
Here. We'll take a minute for a silent prayer and then the flag salute. We'll have our newest council member, Mr. Campion, join us in the flag salute after we have a moment of prayer, please. And during this holiday daytime, I hope that you will all remember our men and women who are overseas who will not be able to be home with their families, and also to remember all of our first responders who will be probably out in double force. And I hope you will remember those in your prayers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liz, would you please read the video statement?
Yes. This meeting of the Galt City Council is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel, on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Tonight's meeting can be seen on Channel 14 and will also be webcast at www.saxmetrocable.tv this Friday and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Tonight's meeting can also be seen via live video streaming on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address council should fill out a speaker identification form and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing council and state your name for the record.
Thank you, Liz. Are there any agenda approval, additions, and/or deletions, council?
I'd like to pull E6, please, for discussion.
All righty. Anyone else? Okay. So next we have a presentation. This is Citizens Assisting in Police Services, our wonderful men and women in CAPS.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much
There
for
you
having
go.
us tonight. As you can see, this is our task force. We are certainly growing in our numbers. We have a extremely excellent group that I'm very proud to work with. I'm going to tell you a little bit about CAPS for those of you that don't know. CAPS was established in 1994. This is our first graduating academy. Someone said to me, "Oh, we saw your picture over at Denny's. You look the same except for your hair color." And I went, "Oh, great, that's good." We had 15 volunteers graduate from our first academy, and then we had another academy in April of 1995 and had 9 volunteers graduated. After that, we didn't have academies any longer because it took a lot of time and a lot of extra personnel, and we would get interest one by one. So we started doing on-the-job training. And new people come in, they go out on the streets or in the office with people that have been for a while and get their training that way, and we find that advantageous. Then we send them to a academy, down at San Joaquin County has one in the spring and the fall. So for our patrol people particularly, we do that. So as of today, we're 25 strong and growing.
Awesome.
We're very happy with that. Some of the CAPS responsibilities are radar deployment, issuing parking citations at the Galt Market, the library, public streets, at City Hall, at schools, as well as doing traffic enforcement at the schools. So here's just a couple of pictures of probably their favorite things, putting out the trailer and writing citations. Now, this is a huge lesson. This print is small because there's so much there. But some of the other responsibilities that they have is we have two that are working with Rusty Hughes on code enforcement, which has been great. They've been going around the city and finding places of, life, code violations, and either turning them into the police department for like abandoned vehicles or basketball hoops, and then the other things they've been giving to Rusty. The cops also do vehicle abatements on a routine basis, vacation house checks. A lot of people don't realize that if you go on vacation, you call the police department, we will check your house while you're gone, and that's absolutely free. We have one gentleman that's doing live scan, which has helped our records department take a little bit of the pressure off of them. Some that are working in records at the front counter. They do traffic control. They'll be doing traffic control Saturday for the parade. They do the high school parade as well. They get called out to crime scenes, and unfortunately, they've been called out a lot lately. But it's awesome to be able to call them. The dispatcher makes one phone call, and someone coordinates all the volunteers to cover our crime scenes. They transport paperwork to the district attorney's office. We have to have reports there daily. They take evidence to the crime lab for me, fingerprints to the sheriff's department, run errands. We have one gentleman that enters pawn slips. The pawn shops send in a slip of things that were pawned, and he puts them in our computer system to run them against stolen property, so possibly we can find owners. They transport our new vehicles when they need to have the stickers and stuff put them on. They do that. They work at Public Safety Day, National Night Out, neighborhood watch meetings, graffiti removal and reporting. They report graffiti. If it's small, they can remove it. They have everything in their trunk for doing that. They've also been a huge support to another organization that I'm deeply involved in, is CHAMP. They have volunteered at almost every event that we've had, which has been just great. Some of the unusual things that we do up in that front corner, you can't really see, but one of our volunteers was involved in rescuing an emu and was out with animal control. He actually got it, and he had called animal control and got him in there. We do go out to the schools, and again at the bottom you can see the crime scene. One of our new programs, it's off the grid there, it's Grandma Cop. Grandma Cop has been very, very well received in the community. Currently, we are only working at Greer School, and we go once a month from 8:30 in the morning till about 10:30, and the kids come into the library in groups. We have the first and second graders come together, the third and fourth, and then the fifth and sixth, and we're teaching them various safety lessons. The girls tell me they're out at the grocery store and somebody will go, Grandma Cop, remember me? And then they tell Grandma Cop about the lessons that they have learned. So it's really sticking. We're very, very happy about that. And now we have a Grandpa Cop. And Robert has been working with his wife Terry, and they've been doing a couple of special events. This was one of the kids saw Terry and said, Grandma Cop, are you coming to the fall festival tomorrow night? And she comes in, she goes, I didn't even know. And I said, I didn't even know. So she and Robert went out to the fall festival, and the kids were just thrilled that Grandma and Grandpa Cop came out. As I said, we've been teaching safety lessons. Some of the things we've taught and are going to be teaching is gun safety, code words, teaching the kids about a code word if they're old enough not to go with somebody if they don't have a code word. Safety people, who are their safety people, who they can go with without, mom and dad say this is your safety person and it's okay. Talking about strangers, who a stranger might be. Lures, sometimes people will try to get you to, on Halloween we talked about if they offer you candy and come to their car, different things like that. Just last month we did 911 emergencies and actually brought the 911 simulator out and let them call 911 and tell us their emergency. We will be doing some lessons on bullying, cyberspace dangers, conflict resolution, alcohol, drug, and tobacco use. In May, we'll be doing bike safety and in April we'll be doing bike safety, and in May we're going to do water safety, getting them ready for the summer. And we talked about being home alone, especially at the holidays, because some of those kids are left home alone. And fire safety is next month, and we're hoping to get the fire department involved and have them come out with the kids also. So we currently have 4 grandma cops, and we have another one in background, and I have a meeting with the superintendent next Monday, and we hope to be expanding the program to each elementary school in January. Yeah, we're excited. So, next year, in October, we're going to be celebrating our 20th anniversary. That's incredible. And in just over 19 years that we've been in service, the CAPS have donated over 79,000 hours of service. And that represents 38 plus years for one employee of the city of Galt. That's longer than I've worked here and probably anybody else here. That's incredible, and I'm really, really proud of them and the program. And here we are, the CAPS serving their community and the citizens of Galt. Anybody have any questions?
No, but I have a feeling each of them want to make a comment, so we'll start with Barbara and work our way down.
Well, I just want to say that Lynn Hutchinson, a lot of this needs to go to you because you've been the mama to some of them, and I'm sure you're a big reason why we have such a great group. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, I thought she was going back down there.
They've done a
think you're great,
fantastic
Lenny.
job, and hope you continue to improve in the numbers. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
They
great.
do the job, trust me. They do an incredible job. Without them, we could not do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Being around when this first kicked off, I mean, the whole idea we had it was to help augment on the less dangerous things, and I have to admit, Lynn, you and the group took off, and it's grown from there. I'm really proud of it. You guys should all be proud of what you do. I thank you.
I wanted to say basically the same thing. I think you've got a great group of people out there serving our community. They're well recognized and well respected, and I want to thank you too for all the work you've done for them. It's just great to see you guys all out there all the time. You're really appreciated.
Yeah, I see these guys every once in a while out there.
Do you suppose we could get them to stand and maybe we could give them some applause?
Yeah.
Of course. We're not giving raises.
I think there's a Kodak moment coming.
Oh, wait a minute, you guys stay stood up till
Well,
the
Lynn, you
stage
need to
wants
get in the picture. Oh.
Yeah. They're saying, yes, you need to come over here, Lynn, so. Thank you guys for your service. Is there a good sign?
Ouch!
All right, Lynn,
No, I love it.
can you please read the public comments?
Under Government Code, Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council and limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the city clerk. And I currently have no speaker sheet.
Okay, we're at the information and consent calendar, and Councilmember Payne and Councilmember Cruz have asked to pull E6. Who would like to go first?
Ladies first.
Maybe read that.
Okay,
Read that one.
let's read it.
Yeah.
Approval of Amendment Number 2 to the agreement with Rainey Planning and Management Incorporated for the Regional Law Enforcement Training Center. Do you want me to read the action too?
The recommendation.
Right. Okay. Adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute Amendment Number 2 to the agreement with Rainey Planning and Management Incorporated in the amount of $17,773.98 for the Regional Law Enforcement Training Center and further approving an additional 10% contingency.
Okay. I have a concern for this because the initial contract was $37,000, and so now we're asking for an additional 17, nearly 18,000. I think we need to look at this a little bit, why this is necessary to change the site this far into it, and also I'm wondering if there couldn't have been a little more input from the consultants from the beginning before we put too much into the original site, and then take a look probably at the new site and be sure that it is going to work for us, since we didn't do so well with the first site.
Councilmember Cruz?
You want your question answered
You
first?
want it, or do you
Well,
want
doesn't matter. When I was Public Works, let me address some of these issues. Okay. There's currently a vision plan for the expansion of the existing shooting range at the existing location. The other location that we're proposing was not available because the wastewater treatment plant, you needed that for effluent discharge. That was when the vision plan was created. So what happened was the vision plan was created. The environmental document wasn't completely done. It was an administrative draft. We engaged a consultant to start with the design. Now, when we started with the design, we were, for a nationwide permit, if you're over 0.5 acres of impacting wetlands, there's issues associated with that. So the first order of business was for us to try to reduce it to below 0.5 acres. During that process, we engaged biologists because there were clearly wetlands. When we engaged the biologist said to us, if you touch the wetlands, what happens is, number one, you have to pay for the impact to the wetlands. Typically, it's either a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. So with every acre that you impact, you have to purchase either 3 or 4 acres, and this is decided by the Corps. And then, because it's giant garter snake habitat, within 200 feet of each of the entire wetlands, you are required to do a 1-to-1 mitigation. Plus, there's some additional mitigations for salmon. Then, in addition to that, he basically explained to us that the new nationwide permit, which is updated every 5 years, requires you that if you touch a wetland and you impact it, that you are required to preserve the remaining amount in perpetuity. So this is all part of when we were dealing with biologists. We went out there, and because it's a man-made wetland, it's basically an outfall from a pipe that goes to a wetland to the north. He basically had suggested, well, what we could potentially do is we could potentially pipe it. And you pipe it from the existing outfall, don't touch the wetlands, and then you pipe it north. And so what we did was we met with the Corps and asked them, if we did that, would we require any permits? And they told us no. So basically, we were evaluating piping it, allowing the wetlands to dry up, and then moving forward. Well, we did an evaluation of how much the mitigation would cost, not the conservation easement, but the mitigation versus piping it. And to pipe the actual wetlands, it would be approximately $165,000 to $245,000 just to pipe it. The mitigation would be anywhere from $420,000 to $490,000. And keep in mind, these are planning level estimates. Now, with the mitigation, if we went forward with the mitigation process, we would have to work through the Corps. We would, part of that cost would be hiring a consultant to work through the Corps for us. And then, typically it takes a year to 2 years to be able to work through that process. And the Corps could come back and say, we don't like your answer, put it somewhere else. Well, while we were going through this evaluation of the process, Jason has suggested this alternative site. So basically, the alternative site is a little bit larger, it's cleaner, it's simpler to deal with because you don't have the wetland issues to deal with. Additionally, you can move forward once we get the design, et cetera, with the construction without impacting the existing shooting range. So what the amendment is number one, we have to redo the surveys, like the biology surveys and whatever other mitigation type of critters and bugs that you do for the environmental. And then the consultant has to rewrite the project description, location, so there's updates to that actual work that they've done. There's certain things that they feel that they can reuse, like traffic and noise because of the close proximity, and then they need to finish the actual document. So that's what the whole purpose was. Initially, I think what we need to keep in mind is that when the vision plan moved forward, the site wasn't available. The site that the current firing range is at was the only site, that's my understanding, that was available at the time, and that's why I believe that site was looked at, and what was proposed was sort of fit in to minimize the impact to the wetlands. Now, we did look at trying to totally reduce, so that reduce what was being proposed for the firing range so that it wouldn't impact the wetlands, but that didn't serve the purpose, is the problem. So a little bit more information and history.
So to try to save the original vision, the cost of mitigation would have been, what, thousands?
The estimate was $420,000 to $490,000 for the mitigation. And keep in mind that every 5 years, the nationwide permit rules can be changed. And so I believe they're up again in 2015, and they typically get more restrictive as opposed to more loose.
And you don't anticipate that with the new site we'll be running into any of those problems?
Well, basically what you have is the site's approximately a 8-acre square. You have mitigations to the north. So what the first order of business would be to have the biologists go out, identify where the wetlands are, map it, and not touch within 200 feet of that wetland. Now that 8-acre parcel would be moving north to wherever that 200-foot buffer was. Now, with the new site, there's the possibility to do besides the ranges that they have, the rifle ranges, they were proposing 100-yard rifle ranges. There's a possibility to do a 200-yard rifle range that adds additional benefits for the correctional facilities and other law enforcement training people in the area.
And do we have any idea of what kind of revenue we believe this facility can bring in the future?
Well, I can speak to it generally, but once we get it up and running, the first thing is our contract that we have with the correctional facility, and then depending upon how much they use it and how many ranges we actually can get, which we think that we can get a tactical range, 2 rifle ranges, 2 pistol ranges, 1 100-yard rifle range, and then a 200-yard rifle range, plus ultimately a building on that site, that there would be capacity for other agencies to come in. Now, a vision would be that, keeping in mind that we have the existing facility that is up and running and not impacted during construction, that when there's enough revenues that are generated, we potentially can pipe that location, and if there's a need to expand it, you can expand that 8-acre square to the east across the wetlands that have dried up that are no longer there. Okay, thank you.
So if I understand correctly, you're still going to pipe it. Is that what you just said?
Well, there's the opportunity to, once you build your, and keep in mind the range would be built in phases. So once the range is actually constructed, what would happen is if you had enough revenues and if the city so desired to move in that direction, if there was a need, because my understanding, I'm not a law enforcement specialist, but my understanding is there's a real need for shooting ranges from area law enforcement, Elk Grove, Sac City, Sac County, the correctional facilities, etc., that it might be an investment that the city would want to look at. And if that's the case, that would allow you to expand further. But clearly that would be something that is beyond the scope of what we're looking at right now.
Okay, because my only concern, and understand I'm a proponent of this, I want it out there. My biggest concern at this point is we've run into this after 2 or 3 years of trying to figure out if we're going to be able to use it or not. only to find out we're moving back to square one on a new site because of Skunk Creek.
Well, I wouldn't say we're exactly moving back to square one because of the fact that, number one, you have identified the minimum of what the city is looking for, of what they would need to move forward for a viable shooting range.
Okay.
Number two, as soon as we ran into this issue, we put the design consultants on hold, and we said, stop. Until we
Okay.
figure out what we're doing, where we're going, we don't want you to spend any more money. And we spent some costs associated with biologists, with helping us navigate the Corps and meeting with the Corps, and then additionally, with the biologists, some estimated costs for mitigations.
Mhm.
So it's been a work in progress that staff has worked on it, but we haven't expended a significant amount of consultant funds for that.
Well, the reason why I asked the question, and I pose it that way, is that we're still going to run into a problem as far as Skunk Creek, because if you look at your northeast corner on the attachment you provided us, Skunk Creek runs to that northeast corner. So we're still going to have to deal with that as an issue.
Basically, where we're going is to delineate the wetlands and stay 200 feet away from it. Because once you touch it, you have a problem.
And we'll still have enough land to do what we originally planned.
This site is bigger than the other site. The other site's approximately 5-ish acres, and this site is approximately 8 acres. So it's a larger site to begin with.
And we don't think we're going to have to worry about coming back saying another 2 or 3 years saying we need more money because the site doesn't work? I'm not being facetious.
No, basically, once we delineate the wetlands, we'll be moving forward with what the design is.
All right, thank you.
I would also add that a lot of the work that's already been done on the environmental analysis is the same for this general location.
So
The
it
air
covers
quality,
both.
the traffic, the noise, all that we can still use for this site. We're just going to have to do site-specific things like the biology and the wetlands.
Okay.
This site wasn't available, as Gwen pointed out, when the visioning was occurring. And the original site, you know, I'm very familiar with it, it is constrained. I mean, topographically, as well as the biology of the site. So I think getting out on flat land ultimately is probably going to be a little cheaper when it gets to construction as well.
It's an easier site to
Yeah,
deal with,
it's a
and
lot
then you
easier.
also don't have to deal with trying to keep the firing range open while you're trying to construct.
Right.
That logistics
That's
is
huge.
difficult to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah, that's huge.
Well, here's the big question. Are you happy with it, Chief?
I actually visited the site and I am happy with it.
Okay, that's what counts.
Okay, any more discussion? Council, so shall we vote on that by itself?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, call for the vote, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. And Liz, would you please read the other 6, please?
I will. Number 1, approval of the minutes of the special and regular meetings of November 19, 2013. Number 2, approval of the City of Galt warrants. Number 3, approval of the treasurer's report for the period ending October 2013. Number 4, approval of the Galt market winter fee adjustment. Number 5, appropriation of funds for replacement of the library air conditioner condenser unit. And we just addressed number 6. Number 7, adoption of ordinance number 2013-6, amending chapter 15.28 of the Galt Municipal Code, which is the fire code, to include adoption by reference of the 2013 California Fire Code based on the 2012 edition of the International Fire Code with errata published by the International Code Council and the whole 2012 edition of the International Fire Code, including the appendices thereof for the purpose of prescribing regulations governing conditions hazardous to life and property from fire or explosion, save and except such portions as are hereinafter added, deleted, modified, or amended.
Move to accept.
Can I have a second? Second. Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Okay, sorry. Barbara. Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. Okay, now we're into the Finance Department. Would you read the subject of that, please, Liz?
I will. City of Galt Comprehensive Annual Finance Report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2013, Memorandum on Internal Control and Required Communications for the year ended June 30, 2013, an independent accountant's report on compliance with Proposition 111, 2012-2013 appropriation limit increment.
Anyway, good evening, Mayor, council members, and community members. This evening, staff is recommending that council accept the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2013, the memorandum on internal control and required communications for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2013, and the independent accountant's report on compliance with the Proposition 111 for the 2012-2013 appropriations limit increment. As everyone's familiar, we do on an annual basis make as a matter of public record a financial report. Last year, we actually did not prepare a CAFR comprehensive annual financial report. We just prepared the basic financial statement. So I am pleased to report this evening that for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2013, we have been able to actually prepare the CAFR in its entirety. And I do want to acknowledge the staff members that are here this evening. We have Matt Boring, analyst. We have Michelle Neely, accounting manager, and Mike Sylvia, deputy finance director. So it's through all of their work efforts that we are back on track and presenting the CAFR this evening. So I did want to make that announcement. As you're familiar, the CAFR is comprised of three primary components. The introductory section typically will include the management discussion analysis, transmittal letter. Will also include the financial section, which is the numbers component of the CAFR. And then finally, at the end, you'll look at some statistical information that, when available, will provide up to 10 years of information. At the last council meeting, we presented pre-audit numbers, information to council, and I'm pleased to report that as of the actual audit, that there were no changes to the general fund or cultural recreation fund. So the good news is that the general fund ending fund balance is the same as presented verbally that evening, that we showed a positive increase in fund balance of $303,000. So that will take our 2012-13 deficit from $1,357,000 to just over $1,054,000. So that was positive news. In relation to the Cultural and Recreation Fund, again, it was positive. We saw an increased ending fund balance, and that increase was about $29,000. So both of those amounts that were reported to council at the last meeting continued in the actual audit. I didn't want to go through the entire CAFR. I do want to go over just one of the items that was a new Governmental Accounting Standard Board Statement number 63, and that basically deals with deferred outflows and deferred inflows, and it's more referred to in our Statement of Net Assets. It's more of a comprehensive picture of the city's financials. We look at it once a year when we are presenting the CAFR, not on a regular basis, but that was a change that was implemented by the city. Where I would like to spend some time is this year there were some comments that were part of the management, the memorandum on internal control and required communication. So I do want to spend a little bit of time there, but I certainly want to provide council an opportunity to ask questions.
Could you just tell us what pages those are on to as you go through, please?
Or actually,
Oh, okay.
a copy if someone can help me.
Never mind, that's okay.
Page 2 of the staff report, I believe, on the deficiencies, is that what you're talking
Oh,
about?
it is on page 2 of the staff report. That is correct.
Thank you.
We actually responded within the staff report. There were actually three comments that were made. The first one, when you talk about internal controls, is considered a material weakness, and that's where the deficiency in internal controls is so significant that you really can't even rely on the financial information. I am pleased to report that there were no material weaknesses that were noted in the fiscal year ending June 30, 2013. The next level are significant deficiencies, and that's basically, it's less severe than material weakness, but it's still important enough that it needs to be brought to the attention of the governing body. So it is presented this evening. And there were two items that were noted. The first one deals with these are loans that are received from the redevelopment agency. These are amounts that are paid back. And what had happened was there was an amount of $3,106 that that we had actually just put aside for the next fiscal year. It wasn't a material amount, but admittedly, it was an oversight of staff. We have a checklist that says we're supposed to record payments, and we go back and go through that at the end of the year. It was an oversight by staff. Clearly, we will be referring to recording those payments. We have a process in place. We have a checkoff list as well. At this point, it was basically a staff oversight, so we will continue to try to improve our efforts in the accounting processes. The second significant deficiency that was reported was the accounting supervisor's super user access, and this has to do with accounts receivable and cash receipts. It is true that the concern raised by the auditors is that we have an accounting manager that has access to cash receipts. They have the ability to go into the system and change rate codes. They have the ability to record payments. However, on the flip side, what I am pleased to counter basically on that concern is that on a monthly basis, we generate a report that shows all adjustments that were initiated by staff. And it comes to my attention there has to be an explanation on why there was a waiver, for instance. And an item could be something like waive the deposit due to financial hardship. So that does come to my attention. Any amount over $100 comes to my attention. To ensure that there wasn't an item that was overlooked in that month, we send that separately to the analyst, to Matt Boring, and he checks to be sure that the time frame is correct, that whatever Michelle presented is correct, that from January 1 through January 31st, these are all of the activities adjustments that were processed. So we believe that we are a small city. It is very challenging to have separation of duties. And because of that, we do try to counterbalance any concerns with other areas to monitor and reduce that risk. So I feel comfortable with the processes that we have in place, but again, this was an area that the auditors did feel that the governing body needed to be aware of. The third comment is not a significant deficiency. It is a comment, though, and a comment basically is an area that they believe that just could improve internal processes. And that item dealt with review. It was a cash reconciliation. What had occurred was the auditors actually pulled a reconciliation that had been performed by staff, and the staff member who reviewed it did not initial. We have a process that you can use a tick mark. We do that to denote that review has occurred, but going back, you cannot really tell who performed that analysis. So we have now implemented where not only will you signify review with a check mark, but also initial who it was, so that way we can go back and have a discussion with that staff member if in fact there is a question that comes up subsequent. So again, that is not really considered a significant deficiency or material weakness, but it is an area that we take to heart that we can improve some of our processes, and that is one that we will be making. So those are the three areas that were mentioned for the fiscal year in June 2013. They also commented on some items. We wanted to update you on some of the status of the prior year comments. One of them had to do with the termination of employees in the payroll system. We have a lot of temporary employees which work during various seasons. They could be lifeguards, they could be basketball scorekeepers, and so forth. And we recognize that there is a control or concern there, but again, we believe that we have other controls in place to reduce that risk, where basically we use a timesheet method to pay an employee. And a timesheet has to be submitted by someone. It has to be authorized by a supervisor. It has to be entered by someone independent of that in the finance department. It's reviewed by another person in the finance department to be sure that a timesheet and the hours were entered accurately. So, I mean, there are various processes that we believe are in place to mitigate the concern that was raised. The purchasing policy, they did a review of various invoices that had been paid that did not have an accompanying purchase order. We had just implemented some changes to the purchasing policy. We continue to advise departments and review the purchasing policy with them. We implemented a process where invoices over the $500 threshold, if they did not have an accompanying purchase order, then we send a little memo to the department advising them of those invoices that were paid, inconsistent with the purchasing policy. So we hope to continue to improve compliance on there, and actually I'm pleased to report that compliance actually has improved. And the last one was the capital assets inventory. They were recommending that we actually go through and take a physical count of our vehicles, equipment, and so forth, and that actually did occur. So pleased to report that as well. So with that, that does cover the memorandum on internal controls. And then lastly, this evening, we're asking that council accept the independent accounts report on compliance with the Proposition 11, 2012, 13 appropriations limit. There were no items that were noted in that. They agreed with the calculations that we have performed. So with that, I will basically wrap up the presentation of the CAFR, but if council has any questions, I'm sure that staff members and I will attempt to address them. And I'm also pleased to report that a partner shareholder with the firm, independent firm of Mason Associates is here. Mr. Mark Wong is here as well. So if you have any questions regarding the CAFR or the items on the memorandum on internal control, then he could address those as well.
Any questions, council?
I had a couple real quick, and I don't know if this is to you, Inez, or maybe more the city manager. It kind of reviews all the, well, it reviews the whole financial aspect of the city, but it talks about loans payable, and this is under the successor agency to the redevelopment agency, under the finding of completion. Do you have an update or an idea of timing on that, when those loans, we think maybe those loans would be able to be repaid to the city?
We sent a letter to the Department of Finance about a month ago. I think we got a response back just saying that they were going to investigate or look into it a little bit more. We haven't heard anything back, I don't think, since then. So my hope is that we'll get that soon, but there's not really a timeline of when that might occur.
We continue to report what we believe are enforceable obligations on the ROPS because we anticipate the finding of completion, but that hasn't happened yet. We communicated with the Department of Finance just as the city manager conveyed within the last month, and we're still waiting.
Okay, thank you. There's new information in this report, isn't there? The statistical in the back?
Yes. In trying to prepare the CAFR, there are various schedules that are discretionary. You have to have a certain number, but again, last year we didn't prepare the CAFR. We just prepared the basic financial statement, so you don't really have the, I guess, the benefit of looking at what we reported last year. It's just this year. So yes, there is a little bit of discretion on which schedules you want to present in the statistical section.
The one I was looking at is under public safety, and maybe Chief, you can respond to this. It's on page 128 of my report. I don't know. Bless you. But it from 2004 to 2013, it gives a rundown on physical arrests, parking violations, traffic violations, and then it gives for each one of those a number, which I presume is physical arrest or individual parking violation or traffic violation. But has there been a change in the way those have been accounted for? Because there's a significant variation, particularly over the last 3 years, in those numbers.
Well, I think that there's several different issues. One was an old system we used to use, which was HDE, and retrieving some of the information out of that, I think, was more difficult than it is with our current system, which came on board September 29th of last year, 2012. I think that we were asked to provide the last 2 years as far as the figures, and there was a decrease in that, and I do believe that had something to do with the issues we've been facing. We've been running 6 officers down until just recently. We're still 3 down, which cuts the force as far as what the figures are. We had Animal Control Officer Markham killed in November, which created a real issue. Then we had January with Kevin Tom's death. So I think that there's a whole bunch of issues. Currently now, in this year, we are looking at 349 arrests, which figures out about 69.8 per month, which means that our arrest rate should be somewhere, if you take that as an average of 837, which would put us 163 above what we had.
Okay.
So all these figures are different, and with that, I'll answer a question that Councilmember Payne asked me last week, and it had to do with the decrease in parking citations.
Correct.
Over 2012, the CAPS wrote 884, currently to 1125 when we were on the last report. They'd written 1,280. Officers for that same period had written 113. So far this year it's 173. But the biggest thing regarding the revenue generated by these parking fines is the fact, as far as from Data Ticket, who is our parking ticket contractor who handles all the tickets, that they have $89,677.44 in outstanding collection reports. With that, 42,000 of that, $40,090.50 is what they call DMV holds. So for the people who have these citations, before they can get their vehicle registered, they'll go down there and find out they have a hold from Data Ticket, which is funds they have to go back and pay them, which is penalties and what have you. So that was one of the questions asked last week in the preliminary report. And so I hope that answered questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anyone else? Councilmember Cruz?
I got it.
Okay. No. Oh. No? No.
I have a question.
Okay.
Inez, I just want to go back real quick. The purchasing policy compliance on the use of purchase orders. How how is that discretion used? Who has the power to make those purchase orders? Do they have one person in each department? How does that work? I mean, is it a lot for me to ask that? I'm just curious because I have seen some of our staff out and they go to, some of our stores and I've heard them call up the city of Galt, and I don't know if I've heard them say I need a purchase order number. So can you just briefly, sorry.
The purchasing policy states that if you are going to make a purchase secure service in an amount that exceeds $500, a purchase order is required. We do have several local businesses that we have established basic lines of credit that they can go and make some purchases. The requirement is we have a blanket purchase order with that vendor, with that business.
Okay.
And it expires at the end of every fiscal year. We want to be sure that it's a limited term, that we don't have a purchase order floating around there somewhere. So every year, you see departments that will issue a stack of purchase orders because they expire every year. So they have to renew that purchase order, reissue a new purchase order. And one of the requirements is that the employee is to show the employee identification badge for the city of Galt. So that is a requirement as well. So if there's ever any question, like who was the employee that made the purchase, that should be included in the invoice ticketed.
Okay, because I did hear you say $500 the first time that you explained part of this, okay? So I don't want you to think I wasn't listening, because I was. But that was the part that I was talking about, was the under $500, because are the vendors reminded that they have to ask for an ID from these employees so that we can put on that purchase who is responsible for bringing that purchase order or charging that in essence?
Well, the purchase order that is issued to the business states on there clearly, it states that an employee identification badge is required. When an invoice comes back, it has to be authorized for payment by another city employee. So we would expect that if they didn't know the employee that made that purchase, that they would question that with that vendor to say, one of the requirements is that we need to know who made this purchase. It could have been an oversight by the vendor, but if a mid-manager or supervisor is aware that they had directed a staff member to go and make a purchase, then they would authorize the payment. If they didn't, if they had some concern that the purchase was not an appropriate purchase, then I think that's when that discussion would happen if in fact the vendor did not note who that employee was.
Okay, that's pretty much what I don't want our local vendors going, hey, I'm not gonna charge them anymore because now they're saying, hey, they didn't get authorization to pay this, for this part, or whatever it happens to be, so.
Yeah, one of the controls is that whoever is signing up on that invoice is aware that that purchase was made and it was an authorized purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Liz, could you please read the recommended action? Yeah.
Accept the City of Galt Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ended June 30, 2013, Memorandum of Internal Control and Required Communications for the year ended June 30, 2013, and Independent Accountant's Report on compliance with the Proposition 111, 2013-2014 Appropriation Limit Increment. Is that correct? Okay.
So there's a typo.
There's a typo.
Oh, I'm sorry. No typo.
Little typo.
Did we have do we have a move and a second over here? Okay. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Powell?
Aye.
If I could just again thank staff, I mean,
Right.
because of their diligent work efforts that bring me back to capital as possible, so thank you.
I guess we could have directed some questions to them. They're here and all dressed up and everything, and they had to stay late.
Well, you look good.
You look great, guys.
And thank you very much for all of your hard work.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
And you look very nice tonight.
Okay, now we're on to Public Works Department, the status report of Fallen Heroes Memorial. Mr. Winkler?
Mr. Bill Forrest is making much his way forward. Madam Mayor, this next item is intended to provide the council with an update on the implementation status of erecting the Fallen Heroes Memorial in memory of Officer Kevin Hahn and other first responders who may lose their life in service to the city. Mr. Bill Forrest will be making a brief presentation on this matter and
Thank you. Back in June of last year, of the school year, the Best Academy at Galt High School, we approached them about developing some design concepts for a memorial. And they just did a great job, and they made a presentation to council in October, just this past October. And so this is kind of a status update of, to give you that we're moving forward, trying to, as I paraphrased, concrete on the ground, so to speak, where we're at with that. And other people will be speaking to the fundraising effort. So being the nerd engineer that I am, this is a rendering developed by the high school, and what it shows is the kind of as if you were standing at C Street looking towards City Hall, how the project would kind of look. And then the next slide was kind of taking that. This is a pretty version of Exhibit A that's in your staff report. And what it shows is, get my laser pointer out. Here's kind of the circle plaza area. It's about 40 feet in diameter. And then you have what I refer to as the west walkway, which connects to Civic Drive, and then the north walkway, which connects to C Street. There's 3 flagpoles, benches. This is the monument area, the granite slabs concept as developed by the high school students. And then this red is a concept of a first phase, and I changed the high schoolers' concepts a little bit in that if you look at the 3D model that we have available for viewing at the city clerk's office, their concept kind of had like rays of the sun, and what I did is I took that into concentric circles, and the idea there is being able to split it up into phases and develop it. So the first phase, the idea, like I said, would be take the developed concepts and being able to break it up into various parts as time and money and donation of materials and labor become available to the nonprofit group, which is spearheading this effort. And then, like I said, you know, the rest of it doesn't have to be necessarily done in fell swoop. You could, you know, do this part, the flagpoles, or the center part, or whatnot. Again, it just totally depends on what's available to the group. And then the last slide, excuse me, is basically a recreation of Exhibit B in the staff report, which breaks the project into kind of the various bits that are necessary in total for it to be developed. And so associated with it is quantities, phase one, and then kind of a complete project, and then over on this column was an attempt to identify the various tasks associated with the development of the memorial that could be done, say, with volunteer labor or material, if you will, people just off the street with a little bit of direction and some tools. So we have volunteer. Skilled is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. A good example is electrical work. You know, you want someone skilled who knows what they're doing to that aspect. And then we have a volunteer / skilled, which a good example would be the base rock underneath the plaza area, in that you could have volunteer labor spread the materials out, but at some point you're going to need someone with like a compaction tool to compact the base rock to a certain extent, watering it and setting it up. And the same with the rough grading. You know, 1,000 people with shovels can move a lot of dirt, but at some point that rough graded area is going to be, the native material is going to be somewhat compacted to be able to provide a firm base for the base rock underneath. One thing to note, the pavers under hardscape, the pavers and the concrete are kind of linked. If you get, say, a donation of a lot of pavers, that means less concrete, or vice versa. Say you get a donation of materials for concrete, you need less. So they're parts of a whole, if you will, of developing the plaza area. The costs at the very bottom are as if the project went out to a bid, and we had to pay a contractor to supply the materials and construct it. And so, by the efforts of the group, either donation of materials or labor, it will eat away at those costs. So that's where those costs come from. They're developed as if someone had to go out and bid and hire a contractor to do these various aspects. And with that ends my brief presentation. And if you have any questions, you're welcome. With that, I'll turn it back over to Steve.
Well, maybe in closing or conclusion, that I would like to point out, as noted in your written staff report, that we are proposing that initial city support for this effort include engineering, coordination,
as well as the issuance of any necessary permits, providing the construction coordination between volunteers and skilled labor and maybe contractor donations, as well as any final inspections that are necessary. And obviously, the scope and the timing for this project will be highly dependent on the fundraising efforts and on the success that they find from the volunteer community. Present with us tonight is Ms. Liz Hutchinson, who you've heard from earlier, who does serve on the Memorial Fund Committee. And at this time, I'd like to have her come forward and provide an update on the fundraising status to date, just to clue you in as to where we are. And in closing on our part, there is no action required. However, we certainly would be happy to answer any questions you might have and receive any direction or input the council may wish to offer.
Well, I just, first of all, I'd like to say that several members of our committee are here. If you guys would please stand up. You're not supposed to sit down. We are, you know, a small group, but we are not going to give up, and I'm extremely proud of where we are today in our fundraising efforts. We just started, we talked to the city manager in May, I believe it was, and our first fundraiser was the 5K run in July. And to date, we have $23,000 in the Yeah, we're really thrilled. You know, we had the 5K run. We did a Stuff the Dog House where we stood in front of the grocery stores soliciting money donations. And we had a holiday boutique just a couple of weeks ago. We had a motorcycle ride, which was very successful. Right. And we realized, you know, we're working very hard, and we realized that we're not getting a huge turnout, but we know next year will just be better because people will hear about the things that we have going on. So I want to share with you, again, some of the things that we do have going on. We have a golf tournament that is tentatively scheduled for June 1st at a Dry Creek Golf Course. Again, the 5K run on July 4th. We'll have the motorcycle memorial ride Saturday, September 27th. We're going to be doing a wine and dine spectacular November 15th. And 3 items that we're working on is a concert in the park, a shooting competition, and again, we'll have the holiday boutique again next year. Not sure if we're going to try to do a spring, fall, Christmas, what, but we'll have that. And I brought something tonight for all of you. The city manager has been incredible and very supportive, and you know, I just call and ask, and he's right there, whatever we need, putting things on the city's website and supporting us in every way they can. And we know that that comes from the direction of you, and we are very appreciative of that. So at our holiday boutique, one of our vendors had these really cute mugs that she did. She went around and took pictures of Galt and put them on a mug. So we'd like to give each of you one of these tonight. She also did one of Brewster's, which was fabulous too, of just the Brewster's building.
I remember seeing those. It was very nice, yeah. Oh. Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you, dear. Oh, it's got candy in it.
Thank you.
Keep the chocolate away from Mike.
Those are really cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very sweet.
Have any questions?
Thank the vendor force on this too, please.
No questions, but you're doing a terrific job. We're extremely proud of you. I'm going to talk first this time. And the boutique was very nice. I think most of us attended it, and it was really, when I walked in, I was really surprised. You did a great job. You did.
You know, speaking of the boutique, I do want to mention that our website is up and running as of 6 o'clock last night.
Oh, yeah.
So it is www.champsgolf.com. And there you'll find, you know, all of our events going on, past events, a little blurb, some photos. We have pictures of the mayor that I'm going to, you know, I couldn't be bribed, Mary Lou, to take them off. Stop it. How much would you like to donate?
There you go.
So anyway, please take a look at it. We're pretty proud of that, and we have Steve Hummel here to thank for that. It took him a couple hundred hours to put that website together, but it's very, very nice.
Thank you very much.
Can I just confirm, www.champsgalt.com?
Yes.
Is there an S or no?
No
Champ?
S.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I wrote it wrong too.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Did you want to say something?
I have, I do have a question. I'm going back now, but thank you again. I'm looking over this sheet you gave us here. I just have one concern, and that is security around the site. Do we have something planned or something we could have in mind? Because, you know, if we're going to be doing this in phases, it's going to be open to, be vulnerable to, look, not everybody loves the people that serve our city, so.
The main aspect of, if you will, security is the item of the monument lighting, the PED lighting, you know, and that it won't be a dark hole. The vision, one idea is that there are PED lights that are essentially lighted bollards, you know, and last year I was invited to attend a Parks and Rec Maintenance Expo in Elk Grove Park, and one of the things, having just developed a number of parks for the city of Galt, one of the things on display was a lighted bollard that also included a security camera. They also had lighted bollards that included a noise emitter that apparently was very irritating to sensitive receptors of a certain age group. So there are things to go along those lines. The other aspect, as we get further along in the design of, say, the monument itself, is aspects of, you know, would say a solid granite monument be worse or better than, say, a monument that is composed of, say, granite tiles that may be easily replaced in the case of a damage. So that's something to explore as we get further along with the design.
Well, I wasn't only talking about after it's completed, I'm also talking about during construction of, because we have had issues with certain construction sites where they have been taken advantage of, and it does tend to be dark in that area in the middle of the night.
Yes.
That's why I just didn't see that cost in here. We have something.
There's a line item for security fencing. It wasn't particularly glamorous, so I didn't add it to the table.
I just want to make sure that the citizens know, and that I know that, you know, our investment and their investment in this memorial is going to be protected. And that's all. It is just it was important for me to make note of it, because I don't want something starting to be built and then, you know, we wake up next morning and have, let's say, God forbid, one of the slabs gone. You know, I mean, I know it's unthinkable, but worse things have happened. I've seen where guys have picked up Harleys and put them back in the truck and they're gone. So that was just my point. I want to make sure we had something in place that
there are aspects of security during construction as well as post-construction. Like I said, the main aspect of, you know, once the monument is developed, is a secure, well-lit spot. So, you know, that's a fairly busy intersection, you know, in terms of, if you will, that can be viewed as a positive as well as a negative. But I'm particularly focusing on, you know, having a lit area that someone driving by goes, hey, I saw somebody.
Right.
That's not quite right.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest.
You had something you wanted to say?
Just a quick
Councilmember
question.
Burke?
You mentioned something versus slab versus tile. I was under the impression we already had the granite donated. Is that correct?
The donation of the granite has not been confirmed. It was mentioned by the high school students. Apparently, one of the parents is a correctional officer out at Folsom Prison. I have personally outreached to the administration of the prison, but not knowing who in particular. I've been working with the public relations officer, and I've attempted to confirm the amount, quality, and whatnot associated with the granite, but at this point in time, it is not confirmed. We have also outreached to the teacher of the Best Academy and said, you know, one of your students mentioned, could we get a name? And work that angle too. So at this time, the donation of granite is not confirmed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, anyone else, or we just are going to receive the report?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to adjourn the Galt City Council meeting and convene to the Galt Successor Agency. Would you please do the roll call?
Board members Singleton,
Here.
Kane. Here. Campion.
Here.
Cruz.
Present.
Powers.
Here. Any public comment speakers?
I have no speakers.
Okay. Would you like to read what's on the information and consent calendar, please?
Yes, we have two items tonight. The first item, approval of the minutes of the November 5th, 2013 meeting, and the second one, approval of the successor agency warrant.
Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Could I call for the vote, please?
Yes, board member Singleton.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Campion.
Aye.
Cruz.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye. Okay, now we're going to adjourn the Galt Successor Agency and reconvene to the Galt City Council. City Clerk's report.
Just a couple of announcements. December 11th, there is a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. On December 12th, there is a Planning Commission meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. That takes us to our next city council meeting, but I would like to skip ahead just to give everyone a warning that the city offices are closed December 24th and 25th and to honor the holidays and over the Christmas holidays.
Really?
Okay, really?
Darn.
So,
Okay, comments by staff?
We have just a couple things. Maybe I'll have Mondo just mention briefly our lighting of the night celebration this coming Saturday. You can maybe go through just briefly, Armando, the schedule. And then there's also the employee annual holiday party this Friday night at the Cibola Center. So just a reminder to council and staff that are here.
Good thing, because she...
And maybe if I can have Steve Winkler give just a brief update on our Twin Cities interchange project. Mondo?
Mayor and City Council. This Saturday will be our third annual Lighting of the Night event. We'll have the parade, same route as the last few years, no controversy this year. We'll have the Shop Local event at the Littleton Center from 5 to 9. We'll have an outdoor stage area for the City Tops performance and the middle school band. They will be right outside of the Littleton Center. This year we have an addition of the LDS Youth Chime Choir. They'll be performing right by the Christmas tree lighting, and the parade will start promptly at 6:30. I've left enough time for the council to get from the tree lighting to their floats, so they don't have to run, and we will escort you there and get you there in time. I've also posted all that information on our website, and we sent out a email blast to our citizens also.
Thank you very much. And,
I have something.
oh, okay.
On November 30th, we had held our first catch and catch. I know what that has to do with is catalytic converters, which are a hot item as far as being stolen. So between Gadati, the CAPS, and also the Explorers, we put together a program with the help of Jiffy Lube, who I'd like to thank. And we ended up engraving those catalytic converters, 104 cars. We're planning on doing another one in spring and then another one in early fall. Also, if you saw the paper, we had a small child, well, not a small child, a baby was born out on the streets very close to here. We summoned the fire department. The child was not breathing. That child was taken to intensive care. I'd like to report that that child is well out of the hospital and in a foster home currently. So if there was any interest or concern regarding that baby, that's the latest update as far as that child, and then we go through the process as far as through Child Protective Services and what have you.
Thank you, that's good news. Mr. Winkler, you're going to give us a...
Well, we're pleased to report
brief
that...
report on the interchange. The interchange,
All right.
is that it? No.
Yes, we're pleased to report that the weather cooperated going into Thanksgiving week, and we've got several courses of base paving down up on the northwest quadrant of Twin Cities and Highway 99, and that's a major step towards getting that reopened to traffic. Our weekly report, I think, got misinterpreted by some of the local papers who reported that within the week we'd have it open. We're still working on some guardrail and other safety delineations while we have that closed, but there's still a bustle of activity up there, and hopefully before the holidays we'll have that opened up.
You know, and I've heard a lot of our citizens saying, giving praise to that and how fast it's getting done and how good the off-ramp is looking. So I've been hearing good stuff about it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, any more staff? Forgot where I'm at, hold on. Okay, now we're to City Council. Comments by City Council? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, Councilmember Cruz.
First, just one thing. Are you going to promise us no rain on Saturday? Are we going to have the third year of drenched council members?
Yeah, not till Monday, I don't think.
Weather report says no rain.
Yeah.
That's what it said last year, too.
Yeah.
That's why I emphasize the weather report.
Thank you, Armando. Also, thank you very much, Chief, and you can pass it on to your crew for the work they did as far as the suspects involved in that murder. Good work.
Councilmember Payne?
Yeah. Just to remind everybody that the Galt Youth Committee has their Crafting with Santa on Sunday the 8th from 1 to 5. And we have a really good deal going for you. If you sign up early at Parks and Recs, it's only $3 per child for 4 hours of freedom. Or if you come to the last minute, it's $5 per child for 4 hours of freedom. So I urge you all to get the good deal.
I just want to acknowledge the Liberty Ranch students that are still here, knowing that they're almost at the end. The last three, appreciate you guys hanging out, and I hope your report comes out well. That's all I have.
Okay, and just one more thing. I'm going to put on another hat right now to remind everybody that South County Services is having their senior luncheon December 12th from 11:30 to 2 o'clock at the Chipola Center. So I know I'm going to be seeing you all there. And 12. And I did want to say that holiday the holiday boutique was very nice this weekend, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Adjourned.
No, we'll see you on Saturday. No, you won't see you.